Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're exploring a story that, while fictional, hits incredibly close to some very dark historical truths. We're diving into the Nickel Academy, a Florida reform school in our source material, and looking at how its young residents tried to survive or even find meaning within a truly brutal system.
Exactly. And it's crucial to understand this isn't just pulled from thin air. It draws heavily, very heavily from the real history of places like the Dozier School for Boys in Florida,
Yeah.
and from the accounts of survivors, often called the White House Boys, because of, well, the place where the beatings happened. So our goal here is to really unpack how this narrative tackles themes like integrity, survival, systemic cruelty, and the price of seeking justice when the system itself is the abuser.
And the story grabs you immediately. It starts years after the school closed with this chilling discovery by university archaeology students. They found a hidden graveyard. Why? Because, as one of them apparently said, the dirt looked wrong.
It's such a powerful opening. And what's really key is they didn't just find one burial site, but two. You had the official cemetery, Boot Hill they called it, marked with these simple concrete crosses.
Yeah.
But even there, something was off. Out of 43 bodies found initially, 7 couldn't be identified.
Which is already disturbing.
Yeah.
But then the second site,
That's the kicker. An unmarked area, totally hidden near an old work barn and the dump. Just wild grass. The official site showed trauma, sure, broken bones, things that raised red flags, but finding a secret, unmarked burial ground? That just blew the lid off everything, suggesting something far more sinister than the already known abuse. It pointed to deliberate concealment long after official investigations were supposedly closed.
making sure these kids were forgotten.
Exactly.
So let's bring in our main character, Elwood Curtis. He lands at Nickel, and he's carrying this incredibly strong moral compass. He's college-bound, smart, and his most treasured thing is a record. Martin Luther King at Zion Hill from '62.
That record is his anchor. It's where he gets this idea of maintaining a sense of dignity and the sense of somebody-ness, and the power of nonviolence. He really tries to live by that inside Nickel.
Which immediately sets him up for conflict, right? Because
Right.
Nickel is, well, it's the opposite of that.
Absolutely. The reality he faces is institutionalized cruelty. He was reading, Chipwick's British classics for his real high school. At Nickel, the education is a joke. Basic math, maybe. Teachers barely taking attendance, no real grades. Academics meant nothing for getting out.
So what didn't count?
Work, following orders, keeping your head down. Comportment, they called it, compliance. That's how you earned merits for release. But the real education was in the structure itself. Rigid segregation, for instance.
Yeah, tell us about that.
The black boys lived up the hill. They got the worst uniforms, more threadbare, attended a separate, inferior schoolhouse. And the punishment, the infamous White House.
Which the white kids call the ice cream factory.
Yeah, a truly sick joke, because you'd come out black and blue, purple, all colors of bruises.
And the sound. The sources mention a constant roar on campus.
Right, that wasn't machinery for, workshops or anything useful. It was a huge industrial fan.
Yeah.
They took it from the laundry, apparently, and ran it specifically to drown out the noise from the White House, the screams, the sound of the whip, the leather strap they called Black Beauty. It was auditory camouflage for torture.
Just layers upon layers of calculated cruelty. And it wasn't just physical, right? There was systemic theft, too.
Oh, definitely. The corruption ran deep. You see it with the community service detail. Elwood gets assigned to it with another boy, Turner, and they quickly figure out what's really going on. This staff member, Harper, is using them to load up school provisions, food, medicine, supplies meant for the boys.
And selling it off.
Selling it off to local businesses,
Right.
a diner, a grocery store, even giving kickbacks to local bigwigs like the fire chief. It was an organized racket.
Wow.
And get this, Harper specifically tells them to steal from the black student supplies. He says something like, lay off the South Campus stuff. So it's not just theft, it's racially targeted theft, making the most vulnerable boys suffer even more, denying them food and medicine.
Okay, so this really sets up the core conflict, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Between Elwood and this other boy, Turner.
Yeah.
Idealism versus what? Pragmatism.
Exactly. Turner is Elwood's foil in almost every way. He's a survivor through and through. His whole philosophy is, look, the world outside and Nickel, they're the same. It's just that inside Nickel, no one has to act fake anymore. Brutal honesty, I guess.
So his goal isn't justice, it's just getting out.
Getting out, full stop. Not graduating, as he puts it, just walking out of here.
He sees people, rules everything. It's just an obstacle course you navigate, you bypass.
And he has some pretty extreme methods, right? Like eating soap. Yeah, deliberately eating soap powder to make himself sick, just to get sent to the hospital for a few days. A vacation, he calls it. It's his way of choosing his own suffering, taking some kind of control in a situation where he has none.
Which is just miles away from Elwood.
Completely. Elwood still holds on to Dr. King's principles. He believes you have to go through the obstacles. He talks about agape.
Divine love, right?
Yep.
Selfless love.
Right. This idea that you maintain your dignity, you endure suffering, and through that you can win freedom, maybe even change the hearts of the oppressors. That's Elwood's hope.
And Turner thinks that's just naive, dangerous.
Completely useless inside Nickel. He literally says, that shit barely works out there, meaning in the real world. So inside Nickel, forget it. It's suicide to even try.
So one wants to change the system from within, the other just wants to escape it.
Pretty much. And you see this clash perfectly illustrated in the incident with the boxing match.
Yeah, the fixed fight, which ironically was started by some reformer, supposedly as a way to provide justice.
The irony is thick, isn't it? So the superintendent, Spencer, he tells the black champion, this big kid named Griff, to take a dive in the third round.
Why?
Gambling, staff betting, local guys putting money on it. They wanted the white kid to win.
Okay, so Griff is supposed to throw the fight.
Right. But here's the tragedy of it. Griff, he forgets. Or gets confused. Maybe it's the punches he's taking. He endures this beating, but then in the final round, adrenaline kicks in, or maybe just instinct, and he fights back, and he wins.
Oh, man. What happens?
Chaos. The staff are furious, and Griff is just bewildered, yelling, I thought it was the second. I thought it was the second. He meant to follow the corrupt order, but the violence itself, the very thing they used to control him, made him mess it up.
It just shows how arbitrary and out of control the whole system is, even for the people running it.
Exactly. It's capricious. And for Elwood, witnessing this, it's kind of the last straw. He sees the total moral collapse. He can't just endure anymore.
So this is when he decides to act, to expose everything.
Yes. He makes this incredibly brave, maybe foolish decision. He decides to document it all. He writes this detailed letter, lists everything. The community service thefts, the names of the local businesses involved, the truth about the White House and Black Beauty.
And Griff.
And crucially, he notes that Griff disappeared right after that fight. Vanished. He writes it all out carefully, meticulously, in his best handwriting.
Knowing it would trace back to him?
Knowing he'd be identified as the source. He wants it to be legible, undeniable, and then he makes a point of handing it directly to one of the state inspectors visiting the school, specifically one the sources describe as having a JFK look-alike quality.
Wow. So he's not just appealing to any official, he's appealing to this symbol of, like, national hope and reform.
It feels like that, doesn't it? A desperate plea to a higher authority, symbolized by that appearance.
But does it work?
Not for a second. The inspector takes the note. That very night, Elwood is dragged out of bed. They throw him into the dark cell solitary confinement, which was actually outlawed by then, just piling bad luck onto worse luck, as the source notes.
So his idealism crashes immediately. What does Turner do?
This is where Turner's pragmatism takes a different turn. It becomes loyalty. He finds out the superintendent, Spencer, is planning to take Elwood out back, which everyone knows means kill him. Bury him in that secret graveyard and just list him as escaped on the records. Standard procedure for inconvenient boys. When Turner learns this, his survival instinct kicks in, but this time, it's for Elwood.
He helps him escape.
He does. They manage to get away, steal some bikes, make a run for it across the fields. But it ends tragically. Staff members Harper and Hennepin chase them down with shotguns.
Oh, no.
In the pasture, while they're running, Elwood is shot. Killed.
Just like that.
Just like that. The idealist dies for trying to expose the truth. Turner, the pragmatist, keeps running. He manages to jump onto a freight train heading north. He survives.
But there's a huge twist later, isn't there, about Turner's survival?
A massive one, revealed in the epilogue. Turner didn't just survive. He survived by becoming someone else. He managed to get fake documents, a birth certificate, social security card, under the name Elwood Curtis.
He took Elwood's name.
He took his friend's name. Partly as a practical way to disappear, yes, but the source suggests it was more. It was to honor Elwood, to live for him. He carries that name, that identity.
And he actually makes it. Builds a life.
He does. Moves to New York City, starts a successful moving company, Ace Moving gets married, builds a whole respectable life. But it's all built on the foundation of his dead friend's name, the name of the boy who embodied the idealism Turner himself initially rejected.
So survival came at the cost of his own identity, replaced by the identity of the idealist he couldn't save.
Precisely. And then there's the final gut-wrenching irony the source delivers about the system itself.
Right, the supervisor,
Yeah.
Earl.
Yeah, Earl. A former Nichols supervisor directly involved in the White House beatings. Decades later, long after the school is closed and the horrors are starting to come out, the nearby town of Eleanor names him Good Citizen of the Year in 2009.
No way. After everything.
After everything. It tells you the rot wasn't just inside Nichols' walls. The community, the system outside, was complicit, either through denial, ignorance, or actively rewarding the perpetrators. The institution was a symptom.
That's just devastating. So wrapping this up, we see these two paths. Elwood holds on to his integrity, his somebodyness, and it leads to his death.
While Turner survives by shedding his identity, adopting Elwood's, and becoming successful in the world that Elwood never got to see. But he's forever marked by Nichol, carrying that ghost.
So this deep dive really highlights that tension. Seeking justice in a corrupt system can destroy you.
But escaping it might require losing yourself entirely, even if that loss becomes a form of tribute. The cruelty of the institution leaves an indelible scar no matter which path you take.
Which brings us to a final thought, something for you to consider. In the epilogue, Turner, now living as Elwood Curtis for decades, finally goes back south, trying to find some closure, maybe confront the past.
And where does he end up staying? He checks into a hotel in Tallahassee. He only realizes later that it used to be the Richmond Hotel, the very hotel where the real Elwood's grandmother worked, the place deeply connected to the beginning of the original Elwood story, his hopes, before Nichol.
So after all that time, all that running, building a new life under a borrowed name, his search for peace brings him right back to the literal foundation of the identity he lost and the one he took on. What does that signify? Is it closure? Or is it proof that the trauma, the escape, the search for justice, it's a circle you can never truly break free from? Does it always pull you back to the beginning? Something to think about.